Oh, the classic. He said, who said what? David Montgomery, drama brewing in the Lions backfield. Let's get into it. Good morning, 97.1. Jim Costa, John Jansen, Heather Park, Govin, Greg behind the glass as we settle in on a Monday. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN says David Montgomery wants out. He has a reasonable contract, owed $6 million in 2026, and is 28 years old. That has value. Word out of Indy at the Combine, Detroit would like a decent day 3 pick plus possibly a 5th rounder in return. Adding Seattle would make sense if they can't keep Kenneth Walker. Well, that's all well and good. Everybody starts talking about that. Then Demo decides he's going to weigh in himself on Twitter. He posted on X, and he said, damn, Demo told you that? So now what, John?
Obviously not having the conversations throughout the course of the year, you know that he had to be a little frustrated. He didn't get the ball as much as he did the year before, didn't have as big of an impact, but the running game didn't have as big of an impact. I don't think it was necessarily Demo or overusing Jahmyr Gibbs. It was the fact that they couldn't block anybody on the interior of that offensive line. My read is that because you go back 2 years and Demo was fine with sharing time with Jahmyr Gibbs and fine with basically, hey, whatever it takes for us to win. And if Jahmyr's the guy that's going to have these explosive plays, then so be it. I don't think he necessarily wants out. Does he want more touches? Sure. Then go have a better offensive line. He'll get more touches.
Well, that's the thing. New OC, there's got to be an investment in the offensive line. He would benefit more than anybody. Because Gibbs is the guy that gets, the explosive plays, but Montgomery's going to get the crease and he's going to get what's blocked and then fall forward for a couple more. Yeah, he'd benefit with the new OC. He'd benefit with a revamped offensive line. How much of this is touches and yards, right? He had 775 in 24, 716 last year, so about the same number of yards.
Right.
How much of this is that, and how much of it's money, John? He's 28 years old. He's running out of guaranteed money in his contract. By the way, the 2-year extension he signed kicks in now. Is this about money, or does he actually want to leave?
I don't necessarily. I mean, it can always be about money. I mean,
his yardage is the same the last 2 years, so why is this suddenly an issue now? Well, I'm 28, and it's my last chance to get the bag, right? Well, you signed an extension, dude. You got a contract. Play the contract.
Well, yeah, but he's not complaining about the contract.
Okay, I think he's complaining, though, and I think he's playing dumb on social media. Do you think Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell say what they said last week if David Montgomery hasn't raised any concerns? I'll give you the quotes again from Brad Holmes. But for David Montgomery to act like the church, part of the choir here, Demo didn't say that. Maybe your agent did. Maybe you've made similar comments to insinuate that to ownership, to management, to leadership. Brad Holmes last week said, quote, "We love David. He's a great player. We'd love to have him. Kind of want to put last year in the rearview mirror and move forward. But obviously a player has to want to be at a certain place as well." Did Brad Holmes make that up?
Yeah,
Pull it out of his ass? No, I think that's coming from Demo's camp. Maybe not Demo himself, but don't play stupid on social media. You're unhappy. Let's find a compromise.
But I also think from his standpoint, he did sign the extension. It kicks in this year. If he gets traded, I don't think he gets any more money. He doesn't get an extension from his new team. Maybe if he goes and performs and he's there, he's RB1 and puts up over 1,000 yards, maybe there's a contract extension, but then he's going to be 29.
So what's this? He wants to go at 28 years old and get 300 touches inefficiently on a bad team so he can feel good? He's going to feel like he got hit 300 times. I don't understand this.
Well, there's a path for him to actually go to a decent team, because we have heard all along that Kansas City is going to be drafting a running back when they pick at 11,
9 maybe.
Yeah, it's somewhere
one
there.
of the two.
Yeah, I don't think they get the guy that they want.
Right.
Which obviously they want Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. I don't know that he lasts that long.
Interesting.
So if they don't, and they want instant impact, I don't think they risk going with their second or third choice if they don't think he's going to be the impact that they need, especially with the injury to Patrick Mahomes. Is he going to be back? And if he is, do they need to have a more dominant run game to take a little pressure off him?
Oh, there's no doubt they do.
Demo would be the perfect fit.
Okay, let's play this along. 5th-round pick? I'm not doing that. I'm not trading Demo for a 5th-round pick. Not with as important as the run game is for this football team. Not with one Gibbs rolled ankle away from being a completely...
It depends what the Lions' plans are. And I don't know that they have bigger fish to fry than drafting a running back.
Right, I don't want to add needs to the list. RB2 would instantly become a need if they trade David Montgomery for a 5th. Now, you want to backfill by taking a back on day 3? Okay, cool. Save a couple $1,000,000 in total here moving Montgomery.
Yeah, but it's not the impact that you need from salary cap relief.
I want the guy back, and I want him to play out of the contract he signed, and I want him to play on the role that he was happy with 2 years ago, which is the same role he has today. I don't know how this ends, John, but it should end with David Montgomery playing for the Detroit Lions this season. Otherwise, I save a handful of cash, and I got a day 3 pick. I got a 5th-round pick. What am I doing with it? He makes a better impact than $2 million and a 5th-round pick.
Well, I agree he does. But this is one where I understand what Brad Holmes said, and I just don't believe. I think there are people that are making this more dramatic, and I'm not going to bite on that one from what it actually is until we know more. Do I want him back? Yes. Do I think that him and Jahmyr Gibbs are a great 1-2 punch? And there are games where I think he gets the ball before Jahmyr Gibbs? Certainly. So I want him back.
Yeah. 248-539-9797. How does this play out? What's your read of the situation? Text coming in saying, Lions need to keep Monty. He's the heartbeat of the offense. Derek in Wyandotte. You're making a face.
I don't know that I'd call him the heartbeat of the offense.
How would you describe him?
I think he may be that solid rock of the offense. Something that, hey, you could count on when you got to get tough yards, between the guards.
Yeah.
Would I rather hand the ball to Demo than Jahmyr Gibbs? Probably.
I could call him the sledgehammer of this offense. I think he's great in blitz pickups, picking up linebackers and stopping them in their tracks, like you mentioned, between the guards, short yardage, move the sticks, punish a team. I mean, my favorite game of his last year's not hard to point out. It's everybody's favorite game from the season. It's the Baltimore game where he was bludgeoning them in Baltimore. He has a role on this team. He has value to this football team. Whether you call him the heartbeat or the pace setter or the sledgehammer. Yeah, I agree with Derek, though. He has an important role on this team. Guys, you have to stop assuming he was frustrated. He's never once said he was frustrated. It's all nonsense from talking heads. Is Brad Holmes a talking head? Coming for our job, too. I mean, I read you the quote. Obviously, a player has to want to be at certain places as well. Those conversations are still fluid. We'll see how it goes. Is he mentioning that with any other players currently under contract?
Well, I don't know how many times he was asked about any other players currently under contract.
But this came up in the postseason press. This came up last week at the Combine. I don't have the Dan Campbell quote in front of me, but I believe he said something to the effect of give him space to make his decision. What decision is there to make? You're under contract. Your extension kicks in. You get 700 yards the last 2 seasons. Why is it an issue now? Where is this coming from? Well, coming from... Is Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes making this up to give us content? I think they're very nice people. I don't think so. I think this is coming from David Montgomery's camp, and now he wants to say, well, Demo didn't tell you that. Who's Demo's agent? Did Demo's agent tell him that? Where's it coming from? Because let's really get to the bottom of it then. I think he's playing dumb on social media.
He very well could be. But I also think that there's more drama in this situation than there needs to be.
I would agree.
So I don't know if he comes out or if there's some joint statement. I don't even think that they care to make a joint statement in regards to the sentiment is false.
I would not trade him for a 5th-round pick. That's what Jeremy Fowler threw out there from his chats at the Combine. Does Demo want to be here? He also could have just said that. Demo's very happy in Detroit. I haven't heard that either.
No. It's just, I think it's interesting that I don't know why Jeremy Fowler would come out and say this. Obviously, he had some insight, and it's probably an agent or it's somebody connected to his camp. I just don't understand what Demo gets out of this other than RB1 at one of 31 other teams.
I also want to address with Jeremy Fowler looking for clicks. He did his note. They always do this every year. It's him and Dan Graziano. They do notes from the combine, what they're hearing around the league. The Demo thing didn't even get its own header. They didn't even use the Lions logo and write the blurb. It was thrown in at the end of something else. He wasn't putting this in there to get the headline image, click through. This was just, hey, I'm hearing stuff. I'm going to put it in here. I don't think he's making it up.
Yeah, but in actually saying that, I think it's less than what we're making it.
248-539-9797. We got Red Wings tickets to give away in the 7 o'clock hour. And yes, we are into the month of MARCH. It's 97.1.